Welcome to this lesson on powers and exponents. Please make sure you have these notes in front of you so we can begin our lesson. There are two learning objectives for this lesson. The first one says I can write numbers in exponential form, and the second one says I can write exponents in other forms. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary word is called factor. And a factor are numbers you multiply to get a product. So for example, 2 times 3 are factors of 6. Our second vocabulary word is called base. And the base is the repeated factor. The base is the number that repeats over and over again when I multiply. The next vocabulary word is called exponents. And an exponent is the number of times the base is used as a factor. So the base can look like a number b, and the exponent can be represented as a subscript hanging at the top right-hand corner of b. So this is usually what an exponent and a base looks like. So now let's talk about some of the key concepts. So repeated addition usually looks like this. I can continue to add 3 to itself, and this expression is equal to 3 times 4. And the reason why I'm saying 3 times 4 is because 3 is repeating 4 times. Notice there are no exponents in repeated addition. So now let's take a look at repeated multiplication. I can write a repeated multiplication problem like this. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Or another way to write this would be equal to 3 would be my base, because that is the number that is being repeated, or my repeated factor. And my exponent would be 4, because I'm repeating my base 4 times. So notice in repeated multiplication, we have exponents. So let's clarify one more time. Repeated addition, no exponents. Repeated multiplication, we use exponents. Here are some special cases. If I have a number, let's call it x, and I have x to the first power, my answer will always be the base itself. However, if I have x to the 0 power, now my exponent is 0, my answer will always be 1. So if I change these variables into numbers, if I say 3 to the first power, 3 to the first power is just going to be 3. If I say 3 to the 0 power, 3 to the 0 power will be 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the first power is the base itself. So when we solve these problems, they're going to ask us to write them in 3 different forms. The first form is called exponential form. And what that means is they're going to give us a base and an exponent. So in this problem, the 10 is my base and the 3 is my exponent. Notice exponential form has an exponent in the answer. The second type of form is called factor form. And a factor form will basically have the factors expanded. So our base would be 10 times 10 times 10. Remember that exponents are dealing with repeated multiplication. So I had to repeat this 3 times because the exponent told me to do it 3 times. Sometimes they call factor form repeated multiplication form, or sometimes they call it expanded form because we're expanding out our factors. The final form is called standard form, and the standard form is the simplified way that we see numbers. So for example, if I multiply 10 times 10 times 10, in standard form, our answer would be 1,000. Notice that exponential form is equal to factor form, which is equal to standard form. All 3 forms are equal, they just look different. So let's use these key concepts to talk about the following examples. So example 1 is giving us the problem 4 times 4 times 4. Notice that there's no exponents there, but it's repeated multiplication. So the form for part A is saying what form is this problem in? This problem is in factor form, or you can call it expanded form or repeated multiplication. For part B, it's asking us to write this problem in exponential form. So notice that the repeated base is 4. So 4 would be my base. And my exponent is going to be 3, because that's how many times 4 is being repeated. 3 times. So in exponential form, my problem looks like 4 to the third power. For the last part, it says write this problem in standard form. If I was to sit there and multiply 4 times 4 times 4, I would get 64. And that's the answer in standard form. Please don't multiply 4 and 3. You cannot multiply the base and the exponent to get 12. That is using repeated addition. Remember, we are not using repeated addition with exponents. We're using repeated multiplication. So 4 times 4 times 4 gets us our standard form in 64. So go ahead and pause the video and complete the got it problems, and we will discuss the answers in class tomorrow. Notice that this slide has 2 different got it problems, got it problem A and got it problem B. For example 2, they're giving us this problem, 6 to the 4th problem, and for letter A, they're asking us what form is this problem in. I know that this problem is in exponential form because I see an exponent of 4 in the problem. Part B says write this problem in factor form. So they're giving me the factor of 6, and I'm going to use repeated multiplication because exponents are repeated multiplication. And I'm going to say 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. Notice I did this 4 times because my exponent said 4. So now part C, it says write this problem in standard form. So if I multiply 6 times 6, I get 36. If I multiply 36 by another 6, I get 216. And if I multiply 216 by another 6, I get 1,296. So 1,296 is my answer in standard form. So pause the video, complete these got it problems, and we'll discuss the answer in class tomorrow. Notice I've got 2 got it problems on this page, got it problem C and got it problem D. So for example 3, they're giving us this problem that says 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. And when I look at this problem, I know that it's in factor form or expanded form because the factors are being repeatedly multiplied to each other. For letter B, they're asking us to write this in exponential form. So my base is going to be 1/2 because that's the factor that's being repeated. So notice that the factor repeats 3 times, and because we're dealing with repeated multiplication, I know that I'm going to have an exponent in my answer in exponential form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put parentheses around my base, and I'm going to raise this to the 3rd power because I'm multiplying 1/2 3 times. So for standard form, if I sit there and I multiply all 3 fractions, 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, I would get 1/8. And 1/8 would be standard form. So pause the video, complete these got it problems, and we'll discuss the answers in class tomorrow. Notice we've got 2 got it problems on this page. We've got it problem E and got it problem F. Alright, so for example 4, they're giving us the problem 1 5/10 raised to the 5th power. Notice that this problem has an exponent. So when we look at problem A where it says, what is the form of this problem? I know that this problem is in exponential form because there's an exponent in the problem. So let's take a look at problem B. It says write this problem in factored form. So remember, anytime I'm dealing with exponents, I'm dealing with repeated multiplication. So the factor that I have, or the base, is 1 5/10. So if I want to write this problem using repeated multiplication, I can write this problem in factored form by writing 1 5/10 times 1 5/10 times 1 5/10 times 1 5/10 times 1 5/10. And the reason why I did it 5 times is because my exponent told me to multiply my base 5 times. So for problem C, it says write this problem in standard form. Standard form just means to simplify or solve the problem. But a lot of people want to do this. A lot of people want to take 1 and 5/10 and they want to multiply it by the exponent. Remember, when you do that, that is repeated addition. An exponent is not repeated addition. It's repeated multiplication. So please don't multiply the exponent with the base. So to get standard form, what I need to do is I need to multiply 1 and 5/10 times 1 and 5/10. And when I get that answer, I get 2 and 25/100. So I have to multiply that by 1 and 5/10 again. So when I do that, I get 3 and 37/1000. So notice we only multiplied it 1 and 5/10 3 times. We have to multiply it again. And when I multiply that out, I get 5.0625. So we've only multiplied 1 and 5/10 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I need to multiply it one more time. So multiply that by 1 and 5/10. My answer in standard form should be this long number right here. After multiplying it to itself 5 times, this is what I get. So this is the answer in standard form. So yes, it takes a while to sit there and multiply the answer, but at the end you'll get the answer correct if you take your time to do it. So pause the video and complete these got it problems, and we'll discuss the answer in class tomorrow. Notice I've got 2 got it problems on this slide. I've got it problem G, and I've got it problem H. So now that we've finished the lesson, go ahead and self-rate yourself and let us know how you feel. If there's any part of this video that you do not understand, go back and watch it again, or come to class with some questions so we can discuss it in further detail.